Welcome to today's NoodleTools workshop. So today we are just going to go over how to get to NoodleTools, how to log in or create an account, and then how to use it. Following this session, there will be a link that goes in the chat that you can use to fill out if you were either here for extra credit, but it also asks you a couple of questions about how we can improve this going forward and some questions about NoodleTools itself. This is a little bit different than our normal workshops because today I'm going to do a live tutorial of how to go through this. Okay. So if you have any questions that come up throughout this, go ahead and pop those in the chat, but I probably won't get to them until the end, but they will be addressed. Right, so to get to NoodleTools first, you'll go to your portal, and there are other ways to get there, but this is just one of the easiest. You'll go to databases, and then at the bottom of our databases page here, you'll see a section that says need help with citations. So there are quite a few links here. We have a lot of resources for helping you with your citations. Marla, who's here with us today, our Sandburg librarian, has created a couple of style guides for APA and MLA citation styles, so you can use those to help with your citations as well. And we do have an instruction guide here for NoodleTools, so that if you missed today's session or just want a quick run through, that's there as well for you. We'll go ahead and open this up. And I am going to log out, which I meant to do earlier. I apologize. There's the sign out button. Okay, so when you first get to the NoodleTools page, if you're already logged in, you will see that projects page that we were just on. But if you haven't created an account yet, what you'll want to do first is go down to this registration button. You'll also notice that there's a green label here that says you have been automatically authenticated into the Carl Sandburg College subscription. If you don't see that, please contact library staff and we will help you get that figured out. But as long as that's there, you are able to register for your account. We'll click register. You'll choose I am a student or library patron. You'll enter your expected year of graduation and then enter a personal ID that you'll create for yourself. And then you'll create your own password. You'll enter your contact information. That's just for account recovery if you forget your password. And then you'll go ahead and register. Okay. I'm gonna back it up because then after you have created your account, you would just sign in here. You get signed in here. All right, sweet. Once you are in NoodleTools, you do land on this projects page. Right, so you'll see that I did a test run before. You can also change your years here. So if you've already had an account, you've done projects in the past and you're wondering what happened to them, if you change this, to the 2020, 2021 academic year, you'll see those here. So then your current academic year will have anything that you're working on currently or have in progress. Okay, so once we're here, we'll click new project up in your right-hand corner and you'll enter a project title. All right, so I'm just going to put NoodleTools Workshop here. And here you can choose MLA, APA, or Chicago and Turabian. Right? Either one will, cite your sources for you. But the citation style you choose here is really up to whatever course you're in and what your instructor requires. So some instructors may require MLA and some may require APA. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to APA and submit. So once you're here, you have a few options. You'll notice the columns up top. It'll just say when you've last updated. It'll say for sharing. So if you ever need to share something, you can do that. There's a 3-dot menu here where you can copy your project. You can add attachments, rename it. You can change your citation style. So say, you've decided you need to switch back to MLA, you could do that here. You can also delete your project as well. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and go to NoodleTools workshop. And you'll see I have a blank slate now. Right? So once I start adding sources, those will pop up here. But before I do that, something I want to point out here is that NoodleTools isn't just a citation generator. It's also very helpful for organizing your research and getting your project or your paper going. So up here, there's a little light bulb that says research questions / thesis statement. So you can actually put that here, and that will help you just stay focused on what your research question actually is as you're going through your project. So once we're ready to add some sources, we'll go up to add new source. And just for fun, I'm going to add a couple of things here. So first, we're going to do a project all about the sloth. And you'll see that this is a continuing theme throughout. So right now, we're on the World Wildlife Fund's webpage. If you are ever on a website where it's just the acronym up top, you can scroll down to the bottom, and typically in their website footer, they will have it spelled out down here. So this is the World Wildlife Fund, and there's no author. This is just a website. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my sources, and I'm just going to choose website. And this is not a magazine article or an online newspaper or anything. So we're just going to go up to a generic web page. Right. When we're here, we'll want to copy the URL, come back to our NoodleTools page, and then we'll paste that URL here. If there's no publication date, like in our case, that's okay. That happens a lot with web pages. So we'll go down to the most recent date of access, and that was today. If you click today, it automatically fills in today's date for you, or else if it was a different date, you can go in and manually change that here. When you get down to this area, it will start asking you about author information. So we'll change that role to author. And here, if you don't have an actual author name, then you'll skip these two parts and go over to where it says last name or group, right? So this is where we'll do World Wildlife Fund. We don't really need to do a description of format for this one. So here we just want to make sure that we're putting in the web page or document / article title. And going back here for this, you can see it up here in this top tab, or else you can scroll down and then see the page title here, right? Because these are subsections of the page, we won't mess with that. We'll just use this one. Sloth. This is not an English translation of a document or article title, so we don't need to enter anything here. And then we'll just do name of the website, which again is World Wildlife Fund. Sometimes your author and website title will be the same thing. Oops, I'm saying author and typing at the same time. But sometimes your author and the website name will be the same. And so you can just enter it both ways. Right? You can also enter an annotation down at the bottom. This is really helpful if you're doing something like an annotated bibliography, right? Because that annotation will then go with this source later. Okay. We'll go ahead and save it. And then it ends up here. And then you can see the citation here. Now for exporting, we'll save that till the end. And I will show you how to get this out, because if you copy and paste this into a Word or other kind of document, most likely you're going to have this kind of weird beigey background with it too, and you don't want that when you're doing your works cited page. So the next thing that we're going to look at is a book citation example. Now, with the book citation example, you're going to use the print or in hand section. If it's an ebook, you'll do this file, app, or ebook. But the trick I'm about to show you will work the same with an ebook or a print book. So we'll go down to book here. And I'm just going to take the ISBN for the cute little children's novel here, keep it simple. And I'm going to paste it over here. All right. So you see that this says import ISBN. When you search for it, it's going to use a tool called WorldCat from OCLC to pull up the book. And then once you make sure that it's the correct title, so it is Slothilda, Living the Sloth Life by Dante Fabiero, has the correct publication information here. We can choose it from the list and then import selected source. There are a couple of times that it will ask you just to verify that all of this information is correct. It is, but if it weren't the correct information, you can edit this. And then once you import it, you have the option again to make some modifications here. If there's any additional information you want to add, you can add it here. And again, you have your annotation option down at the bottom. All right. So we'll save this. All right, and so now as you're adding more sources, you're seeing that it's really starting that works cited or bibliography for you. Now, the other useful tool on here, if you're using this to sort of organize your research and not just generate your works cited page, you have note cards. And to add a new note card, you'll just go over to this new section in the note cards column and you'll add it. Now you can pick and choose what you add here. You don't have to add everything, but just as sort of a little quick how-to on what all these headings mean, we're going to do an example one real quick where we fill in all of them, right? So what's the main idea of this note card? We're just going to say Slothilda is living the life, okay? Under direct quotation, we are going to say Slothilda slept from sunrise to sunset and woke to eat some leaves. Now, because this is a direct quotation, and honestly, if you're taking information and even paraphrasing or summarizing from a specific page in a text, you will want to make sure that you're doing a page number in your in-text citation. So here we're just going to say it comes from page 5. Same with paraphrasing. Again, you'll want to make sure that you're using that in-text citation. Really, anytime that you take information from a source, you'll want to in-text cite. All right. So on the paraphrase, we're just going to say Slothilda spends, most of her days sleeping and munching leaves. And then under my ideas, we'll say Slothilda is not lazy. She is a sloth. So you can use this to put any sort of thoughts that you have about the source and also ideas for how you're going to use it in your paper. And this is where it comes in really handy. So we'll put use this source to outline the day of a sloth. Right, and so that just reminds you later what you are going to use the source for in your paper. That way, especially when you have, 5 or more sources piling up, you might not remember what you wanted to use each one for. So again, very helpful. Now, the other helpful thing that is on this page is this hyperlink here that says in-text reference next to the page number. And I think since I'm doing a screen sharing and it's just showing my browser, it's not wanting to show a pop-up window. But when you click this and open it, there's a pop-up that comes up and it explains to you how to do in-text citations depending on the citation style that you're using for your project. So if you used APA as your citation style, it's going to tell you how to cite or use in-text citations for APA. And it's going to give you lots of different examples. It's going to tell you how it should be formatted, right? Same goes for MLA and Chicago style. We'll go ahead and save and close. And when you get here, just like when you're working with the project menu, when you go next to a source, there's a 3-dot menu all the way to the right. You can go in and edit your source if you want to add or remove information. You can choose to copy it. You can add an attachment. You can delete it. And again, that in-text citation pop-up is available there too, just as a general reminder on how to do those. The other thing that's really handy is that you'll see this column here that's called attachments with a little paper clip. And in that menu, you have the option to add an attachment. If we were to do that, again, I'm not sure if you can see this because it's a pop-up window, but when you do that, you can add any file from your device. So if you have downloaded an article as a PDF and you don't want to have to keep going back to the database or to your file explorer for that, you can add the PDF here. And so it's just a way to quickly reference it. If you have a print book, something that I find is handy, if you're adding attachments or trying to reference something later, you can take a picture of the page that you were using in your research and then upload that picture here. Or you can also upload screenshots too. So if you've taken a screenshot of an ebook, for example, you could add that here. And it's just a quick reference to whatever it is that you wanted to cite in your paper. Okay. The last thing that we're going to touch on before we talk about how to export this is the to-do list. So there's this little checkbox over here that says to-dos on the left-hand side. And when you open it, there is a to-do list on the side. I had to move our faces over and got distracted, sorry. So we're going to add a new to-do. So say we needed to create an outline, and that was in our steps with our project. We'll do create outline and we'll add a due date. So I'll just put the 24th. And then say we need to submit the first rough draft. We'll put that here. And we'll just say that's due on Monday. Okay, so this is a good way to keep you on track, keep you organized with your research project. That way you're not missing any deadlines for class and you can check them off as you go. And honestly, that just feels really satisfying. So again, it's something that can keep you on track for your paper, and you can add anything that you want here. So if you need to do more granular steps there, you can do that as well, just for yourself. Close this out. So the last thing that I'll go over on this page before we turn over to Q&A is we have this export print button at the top. I don't particularly like this because it doesn't tell you exactly what it is until you hover over it, but just know that, you know, this printer icon up at the top is also for exporting your works cited page. So it's not just for printing. We'll go ahead and click that. And you can choose to print or export it to Word, or you can also do Google Docs. All right, so it does bring up a page that you then really need to just copy and paste. So you can copy it from this here and then paste it into your actual research, paper, whether you're using Docs or a Word document. And it does format it exactly the way it needs to be formatted for your citation style. So if you need to do APA, it's going to say references and it's going to format this in APA citation style. If it is MLA, then it's going to say works cited at the top and it's going to have MLA format down here. Okay, so that's why we're trying to say this is a really, really handy tool. If you have any questions about citation styles, if you have any questions about NoodleTools or need help with it, we are available at library@sandburg.edu. You can also visit us in room 230 in e-building or visit us at sandburg.edu/library. Right, we're always happy to help no matter what. And again, like Marla, who's on our call right now, is happy to set up a virtual appointment or an in-person appointment and talk over any of your questions.